Hello everyone, welcome to the tutorial series of Pine Language Quantitative Trading Practice. We have learned all of the grammars of the Pine language in our previous lessons, and today we will draw two representative strategy examples to explain. And we also demonstrate how to use the Pine language strategy to make a real bot on the FMZ Quant Trading Platform. We know that the use of Pine language on TradingView can only be used for backtesting, and there is no way to connect to various real-bot exchange for real trading. In order to meet the demand, our FMZ Quant Trading Platform supports Pine language, and we can conduct real-bot trading directly, rely on the API interfaces of each real-bot exchanges we accessed. Moreover, we can use many of our published strategies resources of Pine language to run a real bot directly. The strategy examples in this tutorial have been published in the Pine language introductory tutorial of FMZ Quant on our community. Here we can see the document. We can see that the first strategy is called the super trend indicator strategy. We can copy the complete code directly and test it in our strategy library. Here. Since we have pasted all our code in the strategy library, and let's see our super trend strategy. First, the function strategy in the first line is called super trend, and we set the parameter overlay to true. That is, all lines are drawn on the main chart. Then we use a super trend indicator in our TA library directly to calculate an indicator. The indicator has two parameters. The first parameter is used to set the coefficient of the ATR indicator. Then we use an input function to build an input parameter option in our strategy interface to input the first parameter of our super trend indicator strategy. That is a coefficient of the ATR function in a specific algorithm of super trend function. ATR is actually used. That is the real amplitude, which is used as the offset of upper and lower tracks. The first parameter is used to control the real amplitude. That is the coefficient of its multiplication by the ATR function indicator. The second parameter is the period parameter of the super trend. That is the parameter of the ATR period. For example, we calculate the ATR of 10 periods, or the ATR of 50 periods. We set it here. Similarly, we also contrast a parameter option that can be input on the strategy interface. How to construct this parameter option? We have learned it before, that is, using the input series functions. In the Pine language to build the interface parameters of the strategy. We have also explained it before. The super trend indicator finally returns two data. The first data returned is the price data of the super trend. And the second data returned is the direction data of the super trend. Next, after our indicators have calculated the data, we will draw the chart. We will divide the current trend direction calculated according to the supertrend into two trend directions, direction less than 10, less than 0, and direction greater than 0. When the direction is less than 0, it means that the current trend belongs to an upward trend. If the direction is less than 0, we'll draw the chart, we'll draw the current trend price, and then we will name it as up direction. That is an upward trend which is represented by a green line. If the direction in the current direction is not less than 0, for example, if it is greater than 0, then we will not draw the chart. That is, this drawing statement only draws the line of the upward trend. Similarly, the following statement only draws the line of the downward trend. That is, when the direction is greater than 0. It represents that the current trend is a downward trend, and it only draws the line of the downward trend. So we can see that its name is down direction here. That is the downward trend. Then we use red to represent it here. The design for trigger of strategy trading signal is very simple. That is, we first judge the direction of the current supertrend. We'll judge the price of the supertrend, whether the current price is higher than the previous 2 K-line bars. That is, the trend price of the current supertrend is also upward. It is not only in the upward trend stage of the supertrend, but also in the upward trend stage of its price. We can see that the current supertrend price of the K-line bar is higher than the price of the corresponding supertrend on the previous 2 K-line bars. We use the historical operator. To reference it forward. If this condition is met, we'll open long positions by using the function strategy entry. If the calculation direction returned by the supertrend is an upward trend, and our position is also in the status of less than 0, that is, when we have short positions, it will close all positions first. We have also explained the function strategy close all before, which is used for closing all positions. So we can see that if there are short positions in the upward trend, the short positions will be closed first, and then the corresponding long positions will be opened. Because it is an upward trend, if this condition is triggered, it means that the long positions will be opened when it comes the opportunity to enter the market. The other direction is opposite. If the direction is greater than 0, it means that the current supertrend is a downward direction. If the current supertrend price is lower than the previous supertrend price, it will be used as a sign of short entry. At this time, the function strategy entry is used for the short position entry. Similarly, if it's in downward, if we hold a position currently, that is, the built-in variable strategy position size is greater than 0, that is, the direction of the position is a long position. At this time, it is also the case that all current positions will be closed first, and then go on to open short positions. Therefore, we can see that a strategy designed in this way, its signal trigger is alternating between long and short positions, so it is a relatively simple trend following strategy designed by using supertrend indicators. Of course, we can test it in our backtesting system, but today our focus is to explain how to make the strategy run on the real bot of FMZ platform because we used to study the strategy by the FMZ Quant Trading Backtest system before. We have never created a real bot to make the strategy run. The main focus of this lesson is to demonstrate the creation and operation of the real bot. And here let's change the strategy name to test supertrend strategy and save it. When we run the real bot strategy, we need to have three conditions. First, we need to have a strategy. We need to let the real bot trade according to a certain trading logic. Well, since we have written the strategy, and it will trade according to the trading logic of the super trend. Here we finished writing the strategy. The second is that after we have a strategy, we need to make the strategy operate on one of our accounts. We need to configure our exchange account. That is, whether in a cryptocurrency market or the commodity futures market, we must operate one of our trading accounts first, and we need to configure the account to our real bot. So we need to configure our real bot exchange object. Here we click the page of platform, and we add platform here. We choose OKX futures here. Since we have applied for the API key in advance, so we won't show how to apply for it here repeatedly. Generally, we can apply for API key in account management directly, so we won't repeat it here. Here is the configuration information. We configure the access key, then the secret key, and finally the passphrase, that is our API key. Of course, after configuration, we can choose a name in the label. We configured in this place, we name it as OKX test account here. For our distinguish, our account here is used for testing, that is, it will be deleted immediately after use. We can mark it here, which is called OKX test account. Then we click add platform and input our passing login password. Click authorization and it will be created successfully. Since the exchange information we configured is encrypted locally on the browser, it will not be uploaded in a visible text, and our FMZ Quant Trading Platform will not record it in a visible text. Therefore, we need to enter our account password here. After that, in this way, we have a trading strategy and an account to operate, and we also need a carrier to enable the strategy to run. That is, our strategy can be deployed on our own devices. And this one is our created one just now, and we can delete it for our distinguish. And here in this place, we need to deploy a Docker program on our own devices. We click Add Docker here. We can choose one-click rent a Docker. We can choose Singapore here. Of course, we can deploy the Docker program on our own devices, such as our own computers, our own servers, and our own various devices, as long as its network communication and power can be guaranteed. It can run continuously and stably. And here since we have chosen the one-click rent a Docker, of course, the automatic one-click deployment of the Docker is a VPS server rented from the FMZ Quant Trading Platform, which will incur costs. It is separate from the cost of the real bot operation, and it needs to be calculated separately. In this place, we'll enter our password again. And we can see it was created successfully. Here we rent a Docker, the server running through one-click deployment, and deploy the Docker automatically. We wait for a moment, and the Docker will be deployed. And this time we have a Docker, a strategy, and an account to trade. We can create the real bot. Wait for a moment, and it was created successfully. And on the real bot page, we can click Add bot here. To create a bot, here we name it as TestPine Supertrained Strategy. It will not be displayed until our Docker is deployed. In this place, we can see that when we click the Docker, it will display the Docker program we just deployed, and we select it, the one we have just deployed. And then in this place, we name it as test supertrained strategy here. Then we can set our parameters. For example, the ATR coefficient is 5 here, and is too large. We change it to 2. And the period, the ATR period, we set 10 here. And for the run model, we choose bar model here. The exchange we want to run is futures. Then we set the code to swap here, which means the perpetual contract. Then we can set the K-line period. Of course, we can run the trend strategy. The K-line period must be larger, right? Generally, if the K-line period of the trend strategy is small, there may be frequent oscillations. Then when we test, we use a larger period. Here we use 1 day. Then we set the trading pair we want to run. Here is ETH USD. ETH USDT. Standard contract. Then in this place, because we only added one exchange object, there is only one option. And if we add multiple exchange objects, we can make a choice at this time. We can choose which exchange objects account we want to use for the real bot. We choose it here, and we choose the one we just configured. Is OKX test account, and we can set the trading pair. What we want to operate is ETH USDT. perpetual contract, and we click the custom, and here we click the add button. At this time, we add robot. It will be created successfully, and we can see the chart of the robot has been drawn out, which is a trend line of the super trend. We can see that the upward trend is shown in green here, and the downward trend is shown in red. They will alternate between long and short positions. The strategy will also display the entry orders, the positions of the entered and planned orders, the capital status, in our current capital account, and the log information printed out, all of which will be output here, including our return curve. After the transaction, the return curve will change, and whether our whole transaction is a profit or loss will be displayed here. Through the demonstration, we will know how to run a robot. At this time, if the trading signal is triggered, it will place an order with the exchange and carry out automatic trading. We can see this place where we have read out our account information in the exchange. For example, we have configured the exchange object for the current account balance. If we want to trade manually, we can also use functions of the trading terminal on our platform. We can also use the function of the trading terminal in our platform. Here. And it will also display our account balance, including our position information, pending order information, etc. It is also possible to place an order and open a position here. Let's go back to our strategy. Our strategy uses a super trend strategy. What kind of calculation logic is the super trend indicator? Here we'll give an extended explanation, which is also explained in our tutorial. In the following place, we have written the index or algorithm of this super trend completely, and its algorithm is exactly the same as the built-in function TA supertrend we use for this indicator. How does it judge whether our current trend is upward or downward? This indicator is also very simple to use. Its algorithm is very simple. In fact, it uses the highest and lowest prices on each K-line bar, then calculates the average value, and then uses this data as the data source to calculate the upper and lower tracks. We can see that after we have calculated the average value, that is the SCR, we use the function TAATR to calculate the current real amplitude, and then we process the real amplitude with the coefficient according to the parameters. For example, if the real amplitude coefficient is set to 2, we have doubled the ATR. Then we add 2 times of the ATR or 3 times of the ATR on the basis of the average value of the highest price and lowest price. That is the built-in variable HL2, and we get an upper line, that is an upper track, price track. Then we subtract them to get a lower track. In this way, we form an upper and lower track system. At this time, we'll judge the trend conversion according to the system changes of the upper and lower tracks, and whether the current price crosses through the upper track or the lower track. Finally, we can calculate whether the current strategy operation market belongs to a long position trend or a short position trend. Through the calculation, we can see the current trend line of the real bot when it is running. When the green line here when the green line is displayed, it means that the current direction is -1, which is an upward trend. When the green line, we also see from our source code that the source code that if the close is greater than the upper band, that is, when it has passed through the upper line, it means that the trend has reversed and the current trend becomes an upward trend, that is, the direction is assigned to -1, and the number of directions returned is -1, which means that the current trend belongs to an upward trend. However, if the close is less than the lower band, that is, the price that passes through the lower line market, which means that the current trend has turned into a downward trend of short positions. At this time, the value of direction is 1, which means that the current price belongs to a downward trend. Direction equals to 1, which is a downward trend. Our strategy to make further judge of the trend according to the direction. If this condition is met, we'll make entry operations and conduct a signal entry. We can see that the super trend strategy is also very simple. It is a very practical indicator for judging long and short positions, and the strategy design is also very simple, which is very suitable for novices to learn the Pine language. So that's all for today's lesson. If you think our video tutorials useful, don't forget to like, follow, and repost. Thank you all and see you next time.